Good morning, algebra students. Just getting my pen set up. Okay, so today we are going to do a combination review of kind of everything, putting it together since we're getting to the end of this unit. So, a few things you will want to know so far from chapter 8. Just a reminder, anything to the power of 0, as long as that anything is in parentheses, is 0. Is that correct? No, actually, anything put to the power of 0 should be 1. But I know some of you are going to write 0. Don't do that. Hint, hint. Okay, product of powers. That's our formula for product of powers. I'll just put these up here. Okay, so when you have the same bases, you're basically going to add the exponents. Remember about that. Power of a power, when you have something to a power and then the whole thing to another power, you take that A and you multiply M times N. Okay? So again, A, M times N. I'll rewrite that just so you can tell again. Big base, M times N. Power of a product. Okay, so this basically means you're going to distribute that in A to the M, B to the M. That goes to everything inside the parentheses. It gets distributed. Now, quotient, meaning division. Well, division and multiplication, very similar. Very similar for this. Now, instead of adding, you are subtracting. Okay. Power of a quotient. Just a reminder, that also gets distributed to the top and the bottom. Don't forget to do that. And how do we get rid of a negative exponent? How do we get rid of a negative exponent? We move it, think, make it happy by move it. So if it's in the numerator, it goes to the denominator. If it would be in the denominator, you would move it to the numerator and then it makes it happy. And basically that means you use the reciprocal and make the exponent positive. Positive, think happy. Okay. So today, can you apply all 5 of those properties and the 0 exponent and the negative exponents quickly and accurately so we can see how you're doing? So just a reminder, is it a positive or a negative? So this means negative x times negative x times negative x. That is an odd exponent, so my answer would actually be, this would be negative x to the third. We talked about this. This means a negative times a negative times a negative times 6 times. When you have an even exponent, that means it would be a positive answer overall. Okay, same thing here. Because we're talking this in parentheses, that means 15 is an odd number, so it would be an negative x to the 15th. Now this, think it's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, odd exponent. That means my answer would be negative 8. Okay? Now, this bottom row here, a little different. This goes along after the fact. So this means take 3 to the power of 16 and then make it negative after the fact. 3 to the power of 16 is this big number, but this negative comes along after the fact. So that's, and this doesn't matter when it's outside, the negative is outside the parentheses, if it's positive or negative. Okay, exponent is odd. 241 is an odd number, And this is just saying -1 times -1 times -1 times -1, 241 odd times. So that would be a -1 for your answer. And this would be -42 times -42. That's a big, big, big number, but I know the power is an even number, so I know this would be a positive. If I put that in my calculator, it's going to give me an interesting answer, but it's going to be a positive answer. So again, positive, negative, 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 positive, negative, negative. It all depends on if your power is positive or negative. Okay, ooh, this looks like a fun one, doesn't it? Okay, so think of your PEMDAS moving in the parentheses and then work its way out. So let's look just here. We're using this whole thing. So that means that would be x to the -4. Z to the power of 0 cancels out to 1, so it's not even there anymore. Then I'm just going to bring down, this really means -x squared y to the 3rd z squared. Now don't forget, this is all to the power of 3. And now this is just a big multiplication problem. Now bring this negative out to the front. So you could almost think of it as -1 times x to the -4, x squared, y to the 3rd, z squared. Okay, now in here, do you see right here, same bases, add my exponents? That becomes -2. -4 plus 2. I'm still just bringing things along. Oop, I forgot that 3 here. Okay, now distribute this 3 to everything. So that becomes -1 to the power of 3, x to the power of -6, y to the power of 9, z to the power of 6. Okay, that's all over 1. Now I get to start moving or moving the reciprocal, making things happy. Now, this is -1 times -1 times -1. That is a -1, or it stays negative. This moves, this stays, and this stays because they are positive exponents. And that big old thing actually comes down to that answer. Okay, now let's think about this one. If you want, you could almost ignore that and put this -3 right over there so I don't get confused by it. Now, the first thing I want you to see is a -3 or a 3 over 3. Those cancel to 1. Those actually go away. Okay. Now, do you see that 2 is still on the top? The A and this A are on this both in the numerator. So I can add same bases, add the exponents. Okay. This B has to move down here to the denominator. This has a +1 for an exponent. And the C here has to move to the numerator. Now, the only thing I've noticed, I have a 2, I have this B, I have these C's. A to the first over A to the first is the same exact thing. They cancel, so you actually get 2C to the 4th over B to the 3rd power. So again, that messy thing all goes away. Okay, oops, actually, there was one extra thing. I would have done the same thing. Don't forget, this is a negative fraction. That, because we moved that answer, that negative symbol could go to the 2, it could go to the B, or it could go out front. It just can't go to more than one place. It's up to you where you want to put it. If you want to put it on the top, it would look like that in the numerator. if you would like to put it in the denominator, or like here, you could put it out front, but it's that or that or that. You just can't have it in more than one place, or that negative sign will cancel out. Okay, here we go. Woohoo! Let the fun begin. This negative, don't lose it, right here. Okay, now, anything to the power of 0 is 1. That, in effect, goes away. So I'm just going to start distributing things here. I'm going to leave that negative out front. That 2 stays. I'm just going to put a little power of 1. Okay. I still have this x to the negative 1, y to the power of 2. Now, I'm going to take this and distribute it. And distribute it. And distribute it. Okay. Now, again, there's a little negative out front. I keep almost forgetting to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Nope. Okay. Now, move things. 2 stays on the top, the numerator. This x moves here. This y stays here. Negative 2 to the power of negative 3. Negative 2 stays, but now it's a positive power of 3. This x becomes now positive exponent, and this z has a positive exponent to start. And now I'm going to do everything in the numerator and everything in the denominator. So this is 2 times, and you could do this in your calculator, 2 times negative 2 in parentheses to the power of 3. That would give me a negative 16 on the top. But I still have this negative from the beginning here out front. Okay, can't do anything with the y's, but do you see this and this? You must subtract your exponents. And we want the x's to go in front of the y's anyway. And there's nothing else I can do with my exponents or my variables, and there you go. The last but not least, do you see this negative here and this negative here? They actually cancel, so that whole fraction is positive. Remember when I said you can't have it a negative in multiple places? That right there, it happened. So that whole fraction is actually positive. Holy moly, here we go. Here comes the fun stuff. Now, think to yourself, can I do anything to the top right away? Yep. Can I do anything to the bottom? Okay, so let's do what I can. So I'm going to bring this negative. Now, this is 2h to the 4th, j to the 3rd. Okay, now in the denominator, I'm just going to take care of this part right here. Do you see this? So this becomes h. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. J becomes negative 4. Okay, that was just that. Now the rest of this comes along for the ride. And now all of this is to the power of negative 3, and we still have all of this to the power of 4. Okay, now let's take care of this here in the denominator. We still have this negative out front. We still have that 2h to the 4th, j to the 3rd. Now, let's distribute that in. So that's h to the negative 3rd, j to the positive 12. Do you see that? Okay. Then negative h to the positive 12, j to the negative 12, and k to the negative 6. And this is still all to the power of 4. Okay, now I would do what I could do inside of the parentheses. Okay, do you see? I'm not going to do anything to the top yet. I'm going to start down here. Move it down a little. Okay, so I still have that 2h to the 4th, j to the 3rd. Now down here, I have this would become a positive h to the power of 12 because of the exponent is an even exponent. So negative 3 plus 12 actually becomes 9, negative 3 plus 12. And j to the 12, j to the negative 12 becomes j to the power of 0. Hint, 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 hint. And now we could move this k up here. And remember, we still have this all to the power of 4. Now, what you should notice, this j to the power of 0 cancels. Okay, now, so far so good. This negative is still out front. Now I'm going to distribute this 4. So that becomes 2 to the 4th, h to the 16th, j to the 12th, k to the 24th. Now it's got to go. And 9 times 4 is 36. Okay. Now I just have a little bit of work to do. 2 to the power of 4. If you need your calculator, take it out. That's 16. Do you see? Here's my h's. So that would be h to the power of 20. And then j to the 12th, k to the 24th. So it ends up not too bad at all. What did I forget? Did you see it? That negative still is out front. Did you see it? I almost forgot it. Hopefully you would have said something. Okay, take your time on these. Lots of work needs to be shown. So again, could you do these long kinds of problems? Take your time, step by step. Don't try and do it in 1 or 2 steps. You need lots of steps. Okay, you have a nice worksheet, not that many problems, but they're a little longer problems. And make sure you're reading the directions carefully and then doing the learning check. Okay, have a great day. Let me know how it goes. Make sure you're doing this so you're ready for the test.